So it's been said that over 50% of Wall Street managers managing over $100 million have $0 invested in that fund that they're managing. Isn't that, to me, that's just absolutely insane. It's misalignment of interest. And this is what Wall Street does very well. Your stocks can go down by 50%, but they're still going to make their money. They're still going to make money on the money you have in there. They may not make as much money, but they're still going to make money. And so Wall Street is great at misaligning interests and making sure they get paid. So when it comes to real estate and doing passive deals, such as the ones we do or others that are operating in the space, alignment of interest is so important. And we're going to get into what that means, what to watch out for in a deal, what is, how much a sponsor should have in a deal. I'm going to give a great quote at the end, so stick around. It's going to be awesome. Okay, quick disclaimer, this is just educational. I'm not giving you any investment advice. Consult a professional. So why alignment is important. If I'm not aligned with our investors, then I don't have any skin in the game. The idea of skin in the game is like, if something goes wrong, I'm going to feel it, right? Like, it's not just like totally insignificant. Now, our partners and I, we typically have about 5 to 10% of the total money raised in the deal. So if we're raising $10 million, we'll typically put in around $500K to $1 million just from our general partner team to go in the deal. Now, I typically put in, 25, 75K, whatever I have to be able to put in. And it can't be insignificant. If you're putting in, if it's a $10 million raise and somebody's, the whole team's putting in 10K, I don't think that's okay, right? It can't be 0.1%, right? So there is sometimes, there is liquidity that's needed for deals. Most of my money's tied up in deals, and a lot of people that I know that are high net worth, they've got very little money available. So we've got to have liquidity to be able to having the bank to show for loans. We've got to be able to have liquidity to be able to operate the business and things like that. And so we can't just be funding all these things ourselves. Sometimes I get questions from investors, well, why are you even syndicating them? Why don't you just fund it all yourself? Well, it's like, well, we don't have all the money. We've got to have investors that can help us on the journey as well. So I have one of my partners is, he has 28 years of experience and 13,000 units, so great operator, but he's also somebody who's putting a lot of money in the deal as well. And this is what I want to say, he's a high net worth guy, is that net worth also matters. Net worth, how much somebody is worth. Because if you have a bunch of partners that are operating a deal and no one's a high net worth person, then there's no ability to kind of help investors or make them whole if something goes wrong. Meaning if there's a loss or something happens, there's no way to kind of help make things okay or kind of bail out the property or things like that, which things do come up and stuff happens. So I'll give you an example of this. Higher net worth partners can help out a struggling project. So for example, we had $6 million, a seller of a particular property liked our group so much and basically wanted to put $6 million from their proceeds from this sale. So again, they're selling this large multifamily property for tens of millions of dollars. They wanted to take $6 million of the proceeds. They wanted to put it into our deal as a passive investor, right? That's pretty cool. We like that. It's pretty great, right? If he wants to bring $6 million to our deal, it's awesome. And so we needed, it was kind of an issue with the title company where even though we had the $6 million from the sale, the title company who was kind of doing this was like, well, hold on, or the escrow was saying, well, where's the $6 million that's going to go here? And we're like, well, it's from the sale. They said, no, you've got to have this at closing because you need this to close. It's a really bizarre situation, but the title company just couldn't see it any other way. Other title companies would do it, but long story short, we had to have $6 million that would be just put in the account, and then it would basically be returned the next day. And so we had partners that were able to do that, right? Which is huge. So reputation is huge, to be able to close that deal, to be able to get it done, to be able to have people bring the money, put the money in, get the deal done, and get their money back. That was a really great deal. So that's very important. The other thing I was going to say is that reputation is huge, and we've never had a loss, knock on wood, of any of our deals. But it's really great if there is a loss or there is some issue, that the general partners have the ability to make the investors whole, which just means that they wouldn't have a loss, right? They can basically find a way to say, we've got resources, we'll make this work out, we'll give up shares, we'll do whatever we can to make someone whole. And so that's another thing that shows alignment of interest, right? I've heard stories of operators where there was a loss in a deal and where they couldn't pay it back at the time, but they were able to find a way to pay those investors back. And great operators will do that. They'll say, at the very least, I want people to, nobody to ever have a loss, right? Because I think that's a terrible, terrible thing. The third thing really is that the closer that you can align your interests, with, as from an operator or as a limited partner or investor, the better, right? So, there are some amazing deals out there. There are some, GPs can bring half the equity where, hey, we're raising $10 million, we're putting in $5 million, whatever. Not everybody's super high net worth, so it's not necessarily, hey, they're putting in half or more of the money and then the limited partners put in a little bit. But, that's a good sign too, if they really see that, hey, this is a great project. They have the liquidity to be able to do it. And it really comes down to the values and the track record of the team. So if the team has a value that, hey, we're going to treat investors well, we're going to try to align our interests as much as we can, where are they going to go for that? Recently, I did a video about preferred returns, and I'm actually not as big of a fan of preferred returns because it actually changes the alignment of interest between investors. You can say, well, as a limited partner, I want to make sure I get paid back first. I think there is value to that. And again, we do a lot of preferred return deals, but I think when you have a straight split just from $1, 80-20 or 70-30, whatever that number is, there's a way you can share in that along the way, which I just think as a concept is a great way to be able to work both as general and limited partners. And again, I'm both. I passively invest, and we have our investment club where we've raised $30 million. We're doing a lot over there. So I just really want to, I like when we have alignment of interest as much as we can. So just kind of in summary here, alignment of interest is very important. It's usually seen in how, operators are putting money in. I think, at least 2 to 5% is kind of a minimum. If the operating team can at least put something into a deal, if they're not putting anything in or very, very little, or nobody is really high net worth or is inexperienced, I would say that would be a red flag or be something to be concerned about. But I want to see from you in the comments below, how much is enough? How much should sponsors be putting in with investors? And what makes you feel comfortable? Is it 2%? Is it 5%? Is it 50%? I'd love to see in the comments below. And then I want to share this quote with you, and it's from Albert Einstein, who had great hair just like me. And he said, the only real valuable thing is intuition. So again, he had some of these quotes that are just like, wait, I think you're supposed to be about knowledge, but no, intuition is really, really important. And so when it comes to working in situations like this, is just really trust your gut, making sure that you're listening to your gut. You feel like, is this deal going to work? Are these the right partners? Is this the right project? Really listen to your gut, because I think I've saved a lot of heartache by listening to my gut, and I've also not listened to my gut and had some heartache in other areas or past areas of my life. And so I'm sure you can also relate to that too. I want to share this video with you. These are my 3 favorite investments outside of real estate right now. Check that out. And then if you haven't joined our investor club, we've got over 1,200 investors on our investor list, and we've got many of them doing deals with us, both in real estate, doing some of those alternative asset deals. Check that out in the link below. Thanks for taking the time to educate yourself. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.